So I just want to preface this video by saying that this is a very informal video. It was done on a spur of the moment. It was done off the cuff with no preparation. And let me know if you guys like this kind of format. It will certainly allow me to record more often and more frequently and get more content out there. Hello everybody, this is AB from Blender 52. Today I'm here with this blend file that we've received from one of our Discord users. And the user just asked, the render's looking a little bit flat. What can we do to possibly make it look better? So I asked her to just send over the file, let me take a look, and I'm just going to go over a few of the things that I have seen in this file that are maybe being done wrong, or that could maybe be done in a different way in order to get a better result. Okay, so some of the things are going to be personal preference, and I obviously can't speak to what the user had intended things to look like. But I'll just go through a few things that I feel maybe aren't necessary or could maybe be adjusted slightly. So the first thing we're going to do when we're looking at this file is I noticed that we've got this strange setup here. And now I presume that the user has seen this in some tutorial somewhere in order to get this reflection that we're seeing on the glass. That's, it's a little glass case for the knife. Personally, I think it's a strange choice. I think it's a strange technique, and I wouldn't be doing it. There is an HDRI in this file, but it's not being utilized at all. So what I'm going to suggest is to just delete that and get rid of it. The next question I'd be asking is, do we really want this knife inside the glass case? There's maybe a better way we could present it. Maybe we could have had a little stand underneath the knife where the knife is resting on. In my opinion, this glass is actually, it's taking away some of the detail that the user has worked hard on to achieve. So in my opinion, maybe not the best way to show off the actual model. Okay, so just for right now, I'm actually going to hide this glass. Let's just edit in here. And I think what we'll do is let's just delete this actual glass for now. We'll leave the rest of the frame in there, as that's what the user wanted. Now, the first thing that I found very strange, other than this empty in here, which I'm not sure what purpose that's serving, but let's just get rid of that. And now you can see we've actually got a lot of details that the user has put in here. And I mean, when we're going into camera view, those details are just completely gone. And I see now that that empty was obviously working as depth of field. So on a model like this, I don't think it's necessary to have depth of field. We've got nothing in the foreground, we've got nothing in the background, we've only got one kind of even playing field that we're focusing on the camera on. It's not necessary. All we're doing is adding to our render time. But now, when we look at the model in this view, all of those details that we had seen are completely gone. And what I've actually discovered is an error in the node setup. So if we just jump here into the shader editor, so what's going on here is that the user has just plugged the texture straight into the normal without putting a bump map in there. And what we know is when we do that is that it actually can change your entire texture to just black, because you've got the wrong nodes connected, which just breaks cycles. Already there, if we just disconnect that, we're already getting a much better result where we can actually see what's going on. So if we just work with this material a bit, drop that roughness a little bit, and I'd give it a little bit of metallic. And what I'd recommend with stuff like this is that give each material slightly different value, and this is essentially what we would call color blocking. It brings interest to your render. I'm just going to grab these two and I'm going to make it the same color as that, and already now I think we've got a lot more interest going on. I'm not sure what the point of these textures actually were for. Maybe to add a little bit of surface interest. Personally, on something like this, I'm not sure it's necessary, but let's put it in for the sake of what the user was actually after. And obviously see that's blown way out. Going to drop that down to like point. Still way too bumpy to maybe go up to 300. So something that I'm actually going to speak about in another video is scale specifically and why it is so important. And if we actually just have a look at how big this thing is, this knife is a couple of meters in size, and that just throws all of your scale of your bump maps and everything out. But if we ignore that for a second and we just go in here, let's maybe take this up to like 800, just so that it's there but it's not really noticeable. And we're maybe going to make this one a little bit glossier. Let's drop it all the way so that it can pick up the light. Let's see what these are doing. If you're using principled, absolutely no reason to be joining it with a glossy. I would just go straight with that. Let's drop the roughness there. We're going to lift this up again just for a difference in color, just to create a bit of interest there. Now we're still not really getting good reflections, and that's because we've got this giant black scene that's essentially reflecting over our whole object. You can see it's majorly picking up on the blade, and it's also eliminating a lot of the reflections from the HDR on the whole handle, everything. So we're actually just going to, for right now, get rid of it. Okay, you can already see we've got something far more interesting going on the blade. I think in terms of the handle, I did notice that we don't have the best topology here, and you know, I understand that we all still learning, but you know, when your object is flat like that, it is going to battle to pick up reflections, and sometimes you can just kind of move your HDRI around a bit. So actually keep that on 0, and if we just move the Z, we're basically just rotating the HDRI, and we can see if we can find a place. It should be this one, sorry. If we can find a place that makes the render look nicer. Wow, you being so difficult. Okay, so here at this angle you can now see we're starting to pick up a bit of light here on the handle, which is already a little bit more interesting. Let's have a look at this light that's in the scene. You see now this is a 10 watt light in a scene where the knife is several meters in size. This light is doing absolutely nothing, I'm sorry to say. We need to bump it up to 1,000, maybe even higher. You can see we now start picking it up there, and I did see we had another one there. Okay, that's the sun. even at this scale, I'm not so sure the sun is doing very much, to be honest. I'll just delete it. You can see it made zero difference. We can maybe just increase that a bit. Now we get a larger specular display because our actual light size is bigger to match the size of our knife. And okay, that is like dead on, which we don't want. We want our light to be at a little bit of an angle. So we put it about there, and that will start capturing angles of objects a little bit better. Now we've obviously got this issue where we can see our HDRI in the background, but we can actually solve that quite easily. And how we do that is if we're here in the shader editor in the world view, we're just going to add in a mix shader and duplicate our background, plug that guy in there, and we're going to use light path, and we're going to take the first one is camera ray, and we're going to plug it in there. And now you see automatically our background now becomes whatever we tell this color to be. So we can drop that down to black. We've now got our black background, but we've still got all the reflections and all the lighting of our HDRI. That black box that was originally in the scene is no longer affecting our actual objects in the scene. There might have been a case where the user wanted that little bit of a shadow that was underneath here. Personally, it's maybe not how I would have displayed it, but let's just see what happens if we put that glass back in. What I'm just going to do is, let's just put a new, what is going on here? Delete that. Cursor to selected. We're going to put in a new cube. Let's just stretch it along the Y until it's about the right size, and the same on the Z until it's right and about the right size. Go into our top view and bring that like that. And I think there was a little bit of a bevel going on here, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just add that back in. It couldn't have been, because you can see here that doesn't actually line up if we bevel that. So it was maybe just on this set of edges where we had a little bit of a bevel. Let's just smooth that, and if we're smoothing it, we just need to, where is vertexes? Where am I looking? Under normals, we're just going to turn that on. Go back into our camera view, go out of isolation mode, let's go back into that, back into our object view, and we're just going to give this so for glass, what I actually like to do is I like to mix a PBR and a glass together. I sometimes find that the glass shader is overly reflective on its own. So we mix that, we turn the transmission up, and then I'll normally drop the alpha down to about 50%. So now again, you can see we're getting these reflections of the HDRI on the glass. Personally, I think it's detracting from the actual model itself, so I would leave it out. I think it's better without it. You know, that's kind of all we really need to talk about in this little video. Okay, but I'm going to take it one step further and just show how I maybe would have presented a model like this. you know, we could always put it lying flat on a table with maybe some cloth and, you know, other items that would associate with a knife and build a scene. But if we just want to present this as a model itself, I'd definitely get rid of this red because I think it's quite distracting to the model itself. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this wood, although that is quite a nice texture. So you'll see something that keeps confusing me here is I keep pressing 1 to go into front view and not get the front view, and I have to go into right to get the front view. So just, you know, little things like that when you're modeling, try and keep those things, you know, in your mind, that it will make your life a little bit easier in general. Yeah, I'm obviously just going to do a bit of a rush job here, but you know, I would have maybe gone with I would have maybe gone for something a little bit more like this. Sorry for that noise, that was someone obviously messaging me now. Just drop that down to something like that, and then we could maybe have another cube, bring that one down, and Y, and on the X. Why do you torture me? Please stop messaging me. I shouldn't be saying that because it's 100% my wife. So now, you know, we could obviously maybe make this a little bit better here, give it, you know, a proper handle or something, and then reintroduce this wood texture. But you can already see we're getting some more interesting shadows. And then what I would actually do is, for my background, I would make it white, and you know, you can even, let's see if we can mess around with like what happens if we put a gradient in here. Might need to give it some kind of texture coordinates. I don't know if this is going to work, but we can maybe do it with the camera. You know, that will work with the camera node. Where's it gone? It's disappeared. Okay, well, I don't want to drag this video out, but I think it could be quite cool if we had a gradient kind of going from white to black in the background. But let's just leave it white for right now. And then if you want that shadow in there, you can also just, if we're bringing in a plane, we make it nice and big, bring it up to the base there, and then we just go into visibility for the object and we turn on shadow catcher. It's going to make it invisible to the camera, but it's going to capture the shadow of all the objects in the scene. Yeah, so that's about it. I think hopefully the user on Discord can get a few things out of this. I hope some of you maybe learn some tricks like this world edit where you can have your HDR and a colored background. And if you like the video, please give us a like, please subscribe, and stay tuned to more from Blender 52.